Poetic Heart introduces PH Talks, an online show focused on creating dialogues.
Welcome back, viewers, to the second edition of the PH Talks. I'm your host, Aditya, and this talk show aims to create dialogue with the poets and musicians at the Poetic Heart event. In the last episode, we journeyed to the land of Italian poetry, poesia, as they call it in Italian. Today, in the second episode of this edition of Poetic Heart Talks, we are traveling to the land of Hindi poetry. आदि काल से लेकर आज के आधुनिक काल तक हिंदी कविता का समृद्ध इतिहास रहा है. The Hindi poetry has a rich history of over 15 centuries. The poet with us today is Dr. Pushpa Satyasheil, who is a master's in economics and has a doctorate in music, but is a poetess at heart. Welcome, Dr. Pushpa, to the PH Talks. We are privileged to have you at our talk show. आज की शुरुआत हम आपके अभिनंदन और आपके परिचय से करते हैं. We would like you to share about your life's journey with our viewers.
Okay, I was born in Delhi, and rather I should say I was born in Old Delhi of India. And in my early childhood, I did my school from Indraprastha and class 11th. That time there was no class 12th, only 11th. Then I joined Hindu College for Economics Honours. After that, I joined Delhi School of Economics for my MA. And in the meantime, I was doing my Bachelor of Dance from Karagar University. And I did my B Music. This is the degree course from Karagar only in violin, which I covered in 1965. After that, in 2000, I thought of doing MA music in violin. So I joined Delhi University, completed my MA, then I completed my MPhil and my PhD at the age of 66 or 67. So since then, I'm somehow started writing a book of my thesis, and the book was named as Journey of Violin from West to East. This book was published in 2013. So in the year 2014, I started thinking about my poetry. Actually, I started writing my poetry in the college time when I was about 16, 17 or 18. I thought, let me collect all my poems because they were lying in a box. I took them out and started typing on the computer and making a list of all the poetry, and I never thought of a book publishing. But suddenly I came to know that my sister was writing, my sister's one daughter was writing, my another sister daughter was writing. I found 5 of our family members, with the women, they were writing poetry. So I thought of, let me collect all these poetry and get into a book. So 7 family members, women, I published this book, and it was a surprise for my husband because it was going to be my 50th anniversary. And that day I presented the book, full form book. This was my book, the poetry book.
And what's the title of this book, Doctor?
And this was my violin book in 2013.
Right.
The title is Geet Pallavi.
Geet Pallavi.
Geet Pallavi. It has got poems from 7 women.
Right, that's beautiful.
And then after that, I thought, let me collect more poetry. I started writing autobiography. Then
Right.
in the year 2000, this was in 15, so 17. So I came out with this book, Geet Vasantika. It has only my poetry. And 3 more books, one of my sister, one my sister's daughter, another friend. So I edited these books, and we
Right.
got the Vimochan for all these 4 books in 2017. So now I collected more women. First time there were 7, 2 dropped out. So I
Right.
collected 5 more. So we were 10 women in this Geet Pallavi. This is now series, Geet Pallavi 2. That was first. We never named it first because I never knew there was a second one. So this is second, and in two volumes, Bhag 1
And
and
Bhag.
then Bhag 2.
Right.
So, and along with this, there is another book, Satya Katha Pushp. This
Right.
is this is my husband's name, Satya over here, and my name over here. So
Beautiful.
my husband died in uh, 2017. No? So after that, I started reading some books, and I realized that there are true events in everybody's life. This book
True.
contains all the true events. There is no story. So this was first volume, but we never named it first because I never knew there was going to be a second. So this was in 2019. Now another this COVID problem arose. So first I got my this Violin ki Vikas Yatra. This
Right.
came in 2020. Then this Geet Pallavi Tritiya. So this is third one, Bhag 1 and Bhag 2 over here. Two books, and this has got 18 women now.
Excellent. So
Now
you
we are
have a
getting to
community
both
of
the
poets.
volumes.
Right.
Yes, collect more and more. And this is another Satyakatha Pushp second part.
Right.
So this has got 44 stories over here, 44 over there, 88 stories in total now. And this is the last one, 2022, Meri Apni Baat. Actually, it has got my poetry in the last 3 4 years collected over here, and my stories from those two books. Only my stories over here. Now I am on to Satyakatha Pushp 3. I am collecting stories for that. Writing also, collecting also. This is sum total of my.
Thank you so much for sharing your rich history. Studied in Delhi, and you've written a whole host of books, and we are definitely looking forward to your poetry at the event as well. Now, from an education point of view, you have obviously studied economics, as you mentioned, and then you did a PhD in music,
Yes,
and you've had a close association with dance as well.
yes,
So, just the book that you were showing us right now, Journey of Violin from West to East, and then the
yes.
translation of Violin Ki Vikas Yatra. Just
Ji.
tell us a little bit about what this book is contains, and what is it about in
Okay.
terms of violin.
Okay, this book is concerned about the violin family, not
Okay.
just violin, the total violin family, which has got four total instruments. The violin bass, which is a big one, and it
Yes.
has a low voice. Then the second one, then the third one, and violin is the fourth one. And it is the smallest of the family. It is like a child of the family, but it
Right.
has got the longest bow of all the instruments. So it is a sharper version of all the total family. And why they are called family? Because they have got similar trends in their instrument making, in their decision making, how they are going to be played, and all that. So this family was totally in Europe. We never had any instrument which could look like violin. Because many people claim sometimes that Ravan Hatta was our instrument and
Mhm.
violin is only Ravan Hatta. But I don't take this view at all because Ravan Hatta is still Ravan Hatta today. It has not taken any other shape. And violin has come from Europe. It is a very, very fine instrument and it was really developed with lots of interest and lots of passion and lots of difficulties. So we cannot say that violin or Ravan is our violin. And in Europe also, it really took a long time, almost about more than 100 years to come into this shape. And those people who made violin, they were really violin players themselves, and they knew what music is, and that is how they could make such good instruments throughout Europe. And mostly they were designed and uh, made according to the choices of the customers as well as the music which they were supposed to play. And this instrument came from Europe, I think around 300 years ago in South India. There, the musicians never had an instrument like sarangi, which we had in North India. So, for playing along with music, they needed some instrument. They were playing with veena, but veena is not that adaptable as violin is. So, the musicians, when they saw this instrument in the court, they found it very interesting and they wanted to try their hand on it, and they did try and they found it very, very successful in this. So initially they started with one or two three violins, which the king of Mysore presented them, and then in the, I think around 250 years ago, so they started playing along with the vocalist, and somehow it kept on being more and more interested in this instrument, and it became very popular in South India. In North India, it came around, I think, 1911. So when people saw the instrument being played over there, they thought, let us play over here also. But they were playing like they used to play sarod or sitar, in the same style, not in the vocal style. This is called guts, right? And that is called Gayaki style. So
Mhm.
here first they approved this instrument to play for the gut, and it was totally different music from the Gayaki style. Slowly and slowly now it has come into being like a Gayaki style instrument. Like Dr. Rajam, she is the pioneer in this. She started playing Hindustani vocal music on violin, and from that time only, there more and more people are interested in the Gayaki style, and they are using this instrument for their Gayaki. Now I find that violin is used all over India, north, south, or even the central India, wherever. You can see it in movies, lots of people playing violin. You can see any bhajan being played, the violin instrument is there. Actually, violin is replacing now sarangi like anything. There used to be so many sarangi players at one time, but now you will find very rarely sarangi players. So violin is really taking over into this music world. It has taken shape. Actually, when I started studying now in 2000, I found books where violin was not mentioned as an Indian instrument. It
Right.
was only a foreign instrument. But now within so many years, I should say 50 years, so the books I read 50 years old books in 2000, I'm talking of those. So but now it is very well adapted, and it is being used, and it is being named as Indian instrument as well, though it is totally imported.
So your study has been a bit of a contribution in rewriting the history of violin as an Indian instrument.
Exactly, but I should tell you that I am the first student of violin in Delhi University,
Excellent.
and my
Right.
thesis is the first one.
So
So
that's precisely a historical thesis.
after me, I
Um,
think there are many more,
yeah,
but
that's
I was
nice.
the first one.
So, I mean, this is something that obviously violin is a very, I would say, it's always positioned as a as an instrument of, I mean, it's considered a very difficult instrument. At the same
Very
time,
difficult. No,
it is
it
a
is not considered. It is
it
very
is
difficult.
a very difficult.
It is. And people lose interest within 2 3 years.
Yes.
They lose
Well,
interest.
one common aspect about this discourse of yours is that I have a violin from the last 3 years and I haven't started yet. So
Well,
there is some commonality, and hopefully in
mm,
time I will start. But maybe
mm.
I'll get inspired by your book. So I know you showed us a lot of books, Dr. Pushpa, in your introduction. From these 11 books that you have shared, I'd like to hear a little bit more about your book, Meri Apni Baat, just to
Okay.
understand, what is your inspiration behind that book.
It was just an idea that I should collect my poetry of last 4 years, then my stories of last 4 years, and some thoughts I developed in the meantime. I just wanted to pen down. So my poetry was divided into four sections according to the theme. Like some of the poetry was more about death and the effect on your mind, on your heart. Then
Right.
some poetry was for happiness. Then some of the poetry was for COVID time. Then is I don't remember the fourth section, but I divided into four sections like this.
Okay, so you covered this. This book is written in under the environment of COVID, and at that time
Yeah,
when
no,
everyone
I've got
had,
only two, 3 points, not more, because
right,
everybody is writing about COVID.
yes.
Everybody on the road is writing about COVID. So, but I wrote only two poems.
Yeah, that's really nice, and I'd like to take your view on something for the younger generation. Now, there is obviously a lot of social media and very
Actually,
little
now
time that people have for anything, and there's always a hurry to achieve what people want to achieve. So,
no,
I
now
really wanted to know from you, what do you think is the role of poetry for the younger generation, and how can it help them?
no, what I feel that once upon a time, poetry had a different shape, and it had a regular and specified shape. So many lines, and the rhythm was there. Now the rhythm has lost. There is no more rhythm in the poetry, even for older generation or younger generation. It doesn't matter. In today's poetry, no rhythm and no contact between first line, second line, or third line. It's whatever comes to your mind, you just pen down into the form of a poem. And it can mean 3 words in one line, it can mean 10 words in one line. There is no system left in the poetry at all. What we see now more often is a free mind and free hand onto poetry. Similar is the case in stories also. Whatever comes to your mind, you write about it. I mean, there should be a theme, there should be a moral. That's what I feel. But modern poetry and modern story writing all are going into different directions, which are not so healthy for our literature.
So, I think if you would like to just say a little bit more about how poetry could help the younger generation. I mean, आज के युग में लोगों के पास वक्त की बहुत कमी है. अगर आप कुछ लाइनों में या कुछ ख्याल में बताना चाहें.
नहीं, वक्त की कमी तो मैं नहीं सोचती हूँ कि वक्त की कमी है लोगों के पास. वक्त काफ़ी है, खाली उनमें थोड़ी सहनशीलता या पेशेंस कम हो गई है. तो
जरूर.
इसलिए कि हम बैठ के पोइट्री को थोड़ा रिवाइज करें, उसको सिस्टमेटिक बनाएं. दे जस्ट वांट टू राइट व्हाटएवर कम्स टू माइंड. आज लिख दो, उसको कागज पर लिख दो, चाहे 4 लाइन, चाहे 8 लाइन, चाहे 12 लाइन, चाहे वो एक दूसरे से रिदम में आए कि ना आए, पर लिखना इज द मेन aim now. Just to complete a poetry, you write whatever it comes to your mind. That, and one can be more specific about the thoughts also and about the form of the poetry, but I don't know whether this younger generation will do or not.
थैंक यू फॉर योर टाइम डॉक्टर पुष्पा.
जी,
आपसे बात करके मन को बहुत अच्छा लगा. आपने काफी लंबा सफर अपनी जिंदगी में तय किया है, आध्यात्मिक
जी,
रूप से और कविताओं में, संगीत में. And I think we are going to see both the poet in you and the musician in you at the Poetic Heart. So,
I
any
hope so.
final thoughts for our viewers that you would like to share?
So first I must thank this organization that I was selected for this, and there will be many more, I know. So I would like to share my thoughts in a way that our poetry should have some moral, some theme and moral both. And whatever comes to your heart, that should be penned down with lot of grace and lot of systematic poetry should be there. And I think all of us should try for this, that our poetry should appeal to the heart of each other also, and the humanity in total as such. That is what I believe right now.
Thank you so much. I think those are really precious thoughts, and we really look forward to hearing you at the event. हिंदी भाषा का और उसका
हिंदी
का
भाषा में
इतिहास का,
बोलेंगे जी.
हिंदी भाषा का इतिहास बहुत पुराना है, और उसमें जो कविता है उसकी परंपरा तो और भी समृद्ध है. So I think it was a very enriching dialogue, Dr. Pushpa Satyasheil. Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much for being with us today. With this, viewers, we come to the end of this episode. Thank you for joining us for this session. We look forward to seeing you at the next edition
Yes.
with another
Thank you
poet.
so much.
Thank you
Yes.
so much, Doctor.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Namaste.
Namaskar.